everybody, I hope you're doing well and welcome back to another video. Happy New Year. It's the 1st of January 2024 and that means the first chapter of this massive beast, Les Misérables by Victor Hugo. I'm going to be reading the Norman Denny translation. I picked up this beautiful Penguin cloth-bound classics edition. I got this off of eBay pre-owned, but it's literally brand new. I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, who? I'm sorry. Why did someone sell this to me for £5 when it retails for 22 and it's literally brand new? Like they could have got like full money for this, but thankfully I got one. Anywho, today is the first day, and if you didn't know, Les Misérables has 365 chapters, so that means there's a chapter a day. Each chapter is literally like one to 3 pages long anyway, so it's not like it's going to be that bad, but I think this is going to be so fun because I get to experience the whole year with these characters and I'm excited. I attempted this last year. I didn't do any well on it, but I do plan to make like updates every month. But anyway, this is the start of this very long 1232 page journey. So we're starting with part 1, Fontaine, book 1, An Upright Man, chapter 1, Monsieur Muriel. If I didn't pronounce that right, I'm not sure, but it all starts here. In the year 1815, Monsieur Charles Francois Bienval Muriel was Bishop of Digny. He was then about 75, having held the bishopric since 1806. Anyway, I'm gonna tell you guys off. Read this. Literally, like chapter 1 is that page, and that half page. So yeah. It sounds daunting because how big it is, but I think I can do it, and I'm gonna try my utmost to actually do this year, and I shall see you with an update next. I don't know when, but we shall see. So yeah, see you. Hey, so I thought I would do a week 1 update on Les Misérables. As you can tell, I'm like I barely threw it at all. I'm still thinking I'm on like 3%, but it's all a journey, and this is the first step in that journey. So first of all, we have been following Monsieur Mariel, who later becomes known as Monsieur Bienvenu. I'm gonna butcher the French translations and words so much, so I'm so sorry, but anywho, he arrives in the area of Digny to be the bishop, and once he's there, he has this philosophy of like sort of like taking from the rich and giving to the poor, but not like by force or anything. He sort of wants to redistribute like the wealth and make sure that like the poor people in the areas that he is not necessarily controlling but looking after are like, you know, fed and like justly treated. Did also like trying to like better and like making like the hospitals and prisons better, and yeah, it's basically been that most of the time, just about like his like income and like what he does with it, and yeah, it was about like him and his life and his like sister Mademoiselle Baptistine, I believe, and her like second woman, sort of like a helper person, Madame M something, I'm sorry, and yeah, literally nothing much has really happened. Yeah, it's a bit not really much of an update, but we move. 7 chapters read, ready for the next 8 to 15, and then I'll be giving you an update then. Yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I think that because there's so many details, so many things that I know are going to be unnecessary and irrelevant, but because I'm only reading it every day, I can sort of like chip away the wheat from the chaff in a sense, and just sort of like understand what he's trying to get from the passage I've just read as I think over it on the next day before coming back to it. And I'm not just like bogged down into all these details about like his expenditure and stuff like that. Doesn't really matter. All that matters is that he spends most of it giving back to the poor, and then like that's basically the crux of what I've read in that sort of chapter. So yeah, I'm enjoying that, but it is a little dense, you know. But anywho, see you soon. We now have our second weekly update for Les Misérables, and honestly, nothing's really happened. There's nothing really much more to say about this book, just that Monsieur Muriel, or Monsieur Bienvenu, I'm probably butchering that, is a nice man. He puts the poor and the needy ahead of himself, and yeah, we just explored, I guess, some more of his sort of like philosophy and his past, and he meets like with this old like revolutionary man, and he like the monsieur is like a royalist, and he doesn't agree with like the actions of this old revolutionary, and especially the year, I want to say 1793, might be wrong, but basically in that year, I think like there was an overthrow of the government and like the monarchy, and like mass killings, I believe. I need to do more research, to be honest, with this book, but the old guy is like, yes, I understand this, and he questions the bishop about how seemingly the death of like a royal child is worth more than the death of like a poor child, in a way, and like how the powers that be and the monarchy was detrimental in keeping the poor and like where they was, and just sort of like asking these questions, and it sort of like makes him think a bit more like, oh yeah, like I don't know, you know. So yeah, so he is sort of like representative of like a man of the people in a way, and yeah, has much else happened? I don't think so. We're at the end now, like tonight I'm gonna go start reading book 2, The Outcast. Yeah, I'm excited to go on to get more onto the story and what's actually happening, because a lot of this was just sort of like Muriel good, give money poor, and yeah, I am like, there is nice quotes and stuff. I'm thinking, should I annotate this? But I don't know, because it's such a nice edition. But like, I feel like if I was to annotate, it would probably help me, because then I would be able to like share with you the quotes and stuff a bit more. But at the same time, I don't really want to like ruin this edition, because obviously it's really pretty. So that's something to ponder on, but also I would have to go back and reread sort of quite a lot of the first bit. But at the same time, it's better to do that now whilst I've just, you know, done the first book, instead of doing it like when I'm like, you know, that much through instead of that much through, you know. Anyway, that's a point for me to ponder on over the next week, whilst you're eagerly waiting for the next update, I hope. You are, aren't you? Yep. Anyway, I'm gonna get back to this. Well, not yet, I'll read it tonight. But also my like the bookmark is like fraying. Can you see? It's like fraying, and that's kind of stressing me out, because I don't want to use another bookmark because I like the cloth one. It like it's all part of the process. Like I sit down, I open it up to where I am, read what I gotta read, and I put it back in, do a little update, and it's all part of the process. And I don't want to change that. So yeah. Also, every time I look at this book, I'm like, what am I in for? Like, what am I in for? Like, this is a brick. This is literally could be used to build houses. How fat this is. Anywho, bye for now, and I shall see you in a week's time. So I come bearing another update. It's actually been 2 weeks since the last one. Well, a little bit more, but I'm not going to talk about that stuff because yeah, anyway, I've been reorganizing my bookshelves, and that has just been being very, very stressful, and took way longer than I thought. But I should have a video coming soon about that. And also, I just sort of forgot, in all honesty, but I've come to tell you, and like stuff happened, but it was just very slow, and you sort of like finish the chapter and you're like, oh, okay, I want to carry on, but like they were quite short. But anyway, what has happened since? Let me just take off these like bits of hair off my book. I don't know how they was there. I should just put it on the side. But anyway, what's happened between then? So I've read all of book 2, sorry. And this follows straight on from book 1, An Upright Man. And there is this outcast that has entered the village of Digny, and he has this like yellow piece of paper that says he was like a convict, and that's basically, and he has to show it to like the town hall. So he enters the town, and he's sort of like bedraggled and weather worn and stuff. He's walked a long way, and he goes into like an inn, sort of wanting food and bed and board and stuff, but then a little bit after, the person tells him to leave, and he's like, well, why? But he's like, oh, well, we're full, there's no food here, even though he was about to give him some. So he goes off, and then he goes like a more rundown like version of this place, like a sort of like an inn thing, and like he's about to like be given board and stuff, but then a little bit after, he's thrown out, and he keeps getting thrown out of all these places, and then he's on like the stairs of like a town hall or maybe a church or something like that, and this woman says, like, have you really checked everywhere? Why don't you check that building over there? So he goes over, and then he opens the door because the door's never locked, and he enters the home of the Bishop Muriel, Monsieur Muriel Bienvenu, and he lets him come in and gives him food and bed and board, basically. Yeah. And he tells his sort of like story of how like everyone's thrown him out, and this character is Jean Valjean, and that is probably the only character I know of from this story, from my prior knowledge, is that there is a Jean Valjean in it. But he tells of how well, he does tell, but it also sort of like goes back, and you're just learning about his story, and how his sister's family, who he was staying with, it was like really poor, and then one day when there's literally like no food anywhere, he breaks into a baker's and just puts his hand in and steals a loaf of bread, and he's running away. He throws the bread away, but he has like cuts and stuff on his arm, and he gets like caught and taken to prison, and I can't remember how long he was given. I think he was maybe given like, I want to say 3 years. That might be, I might not be right, but that, accompanied with lots of failed attempts to escape prison, meant he served a whole 19 years for stealing a loaf of bread. and this time in prison, and how he was viewed so negatively, and it was so dry and dark and like in chains, and really just like broke his soul, and it made him sort of like have a hatred for humanity and humankind, and he wanted revenge for all his life that was taken from him, and the impact that like it had on his like family as well, because like he didn't know anything that really happened to his sister's family. So whilst he's sleeping over, the night before, the bishop said like, oh, we have a guest, like get all the nice silver out, and I was just thinking like, are you tempting him? Because you know he's a convict. My light's flickering. But anyway, he's just like thinking like, it's so easy. I can literally just go in there and take the silver and run. And it's all sort of like suspenseful, and like it's over quite a lot of chapters, and you're like, what is he gonna do? But like he goes into the room where the bishop is sleeping, and he sees this sort of like moonlight shine on him, and he thinks he looks so like ethereal and like religious like, but he does in the end steal the cutlery, and then the next day he is sort of caught trying to sell it, I believe, and they take him back to the bishop's house, but the bishop is like, oh no, I gave it to him. And then he says at the end, but make sure to take these candlesticks, and with these you've promised to become a just man. And so then he sort of left the village, and he's on his way, and this little boy comes along, like I believe like singing the tune or something. It's like he's like a coin, and he steps on the coin because it like rolls near him, and he's saying like, I don't have your coin, like I don't have your coin, you know, shove off, little boy. So the boy's sort of like angry and stuff, but then he does eventually go, and then he's like looking at himself, he's like, I literally just stole from a child. Who have I become? This is not the person I want to be anymore. This is not the person I should be. It's, you know, I'm not fulfilling my like purpose in life and my promises. And yeah, that's sort of how that part ended. And yeah, so he sort of like is gonna plan on becoming a just man now, I presume. I think we do see him again, because there's another later chapter that is just called Jean Valjean, or like a whole part, but I don't know. I think the first chapter, I believe, was in the next book, but that one's called in the year 1817. So it's gone 2 years from the previous events. But yeah, I've already read a couple chapters, but that shall be in the next month's video and updates. So I'm leaving a bit of suspense, keeping you ready on your toes. Honestly, literally nothing has happened, but we shall see what happens. Also, I've met Fontaine now, who is the titular character of this part. So let's see what she has to say for herself. Anywho, I do hope you enjoyed this. Reading along with me in a sense, sort of thing. Not really, but whatever. Stay tuned for next month's update. I'm still going strong. I haven't missed a day. Yet. And like and subscribe if you wish to do so. And I shall see you soon. Bye. It's so heavy.